will continue with their return to football programs in hopes of getting some of them back for next week's practices. And that's my update. So I'm glad, John, if you want to kick it off.
So you were not scheduled to practice today. What changed? Why did you want to do this?
Yeah, just going through it, we just felt like, man, this was a good chance to throw 3 more days in a row. It'll feature today's group more of the ones as far as the reps go. And I thought it was the right call to make.
Was it related to what you saw or didn't see Saturday?
I didn't love all that I saw from an identity standpoint, but it wasn't like a knee-jerk reaction to that, but just kind of where I want to keep working with the guys, some new people in a couple of locations. So I thought it was important to rep those if we could today, rep it again tomorrow, and then work it into practice Wednesday and into the game. So a little bit of kind of leaning into the week to make sure we can feature some guys into some spots. So I wanted to look at a couple of different locations of some people, and we'll do a little bit of that this week too.
Dan, with Dietrich Wise, do you have any expectation for him to be able to come off the PUP list before the season, or do you think he'll stay on there?
I wouldn't say before. That's not where he had a good evaluation recently. He's certainly getting closer, but they haven't given us a time frame to say, hey, next week it's in that space. The next evaluation for him will be next week, and then after that we'll get into where the season goes. He looks good. I'm pleased with the work that he's put in. For him, this has been a long rehab. It's a serious injury, and so to see him on the other side of that, knowing the light at the end of the tunnel is nearby, that's exciting. But I haven't got a time frame that's, hey, by this date, we can go.
And when it comes to who wears the green dot on defense, is that something that you've decided at this point, or is that still ongoing in evaluation?
It's still ongoing. Frankie and Sonny are the ones that will decide in between. We'll also rotate a few guys, in and out. So both of them at some point will have it if one comes out and Leo comes in. So there'll be some of that to go for sure. So they would be the 2 main that will, lean in on the game.
Hi, Dan.
Good afternoon.
On the Dobbs, RPO that led to the long touchdown run.
Very long.
What went wrong on that play,
Sure.
and what would you have ideally wanted to see?
Yep. So a good zone read play for him, and he's got that ability to, like Jaden, to hand it off and pull it. So on that particular one, on that option, they read the defensive end. So if the defensive end closes, he pulls it. So on that particular one, we'd love Josh to wait it out, and then we were in man-to-man behind. So once it's handed off and we're out of pass, get off your man and everybody get back to it. So I get it could be a first down, but to have it be a touchdown was certainly disappointing. But it would start with Josh and then just backside pursuit and speed to finish. But I got it. He made a good play too.
And so there was a Josh play with containment. I think I saw 2 other plays where I think the edge person was supposed to have containment and they didn't. They got longer plays off of that.
Yep.
You mentioned the penalties on the returns. I think there were 4 of those. The offensive line, it seems to be some miscommunication there. How do you improve the kind of fundamentals, discipline stuff that you weren't seeing?
What I told the team was, I said, a lot of that, what I saw, that wasn't us, and that bothered me. And so today is our time to get to the truth, why. So I took a long time. I went through a lot of plays, and I didn't feel like we played complementary football. I said that felt in disarray. Just a week ago, I loved how we finished a 2-minute at the end of the half and a 4-minute to finish the game. And in this particular game, we had a chance for a 2-minute at the end of the half. We had a tackle for loss, a completion, and a sack. And then in a 4-minute, we had our chances to stop, and they converted on a 4th down. And so, those were the part, and like I said, the penalties were on the return game. The field position was tough. So that's where I felt in disarray. I loved how we started with 2 takeaways, and then to not capitalize and get points off the second one. Those were the things that I wanted to really highlight into it. So that's what I want to get cleaned up. Yep.
Hey, Coach. The safety room, you talk about the competition throughout this team. That particular room, could you talk about Quan Martin having those 2 interceptions back-to-back, then Tyler Owens with that big monster run over of the running back, but that whole room, what are you seeing from that group?
Yeah, so I thought when you're watching every day at practice, which you guys are, I felt like at safety there's a competition. At receiver, I felt it where okay, you see a player make a play this day and a player make that one. And so on that particular one, Owens was playing the nickel position. And sometimes we do that with 3 safeties. So we blitzed him from the nickel back position. He's a good blitzer, just you see that same type of speed and hitting as a special teams player. So we featured him in that way. There's been different guys, honestly, make plays on different days. So that's what I'm definitely looking for. But to see Quan really express himself over the last 2 games and a number of practices, you can feel his comfort level in the system coming together. And like, he's been such a selfless teammate, so it's not surprising to see him putting the work in and, you know, seeing the rewards from that.
In the running game with some of the younger guys, the week before they get 160-yard, Henry and Allen, not so much this week. What
Yes.
did you see with the difference of the 2 weeks?
Yeah, and I really, was hoping to lean into that, to see that. And so I didn't see us just quite on time. There was times you see, one time in this part of the line getting off the ball, the tight ends were late. Not, downfield finishing and all the spaces. So it wasn't just a running back or one person here. There was plenty of times I thought, all right, 9 are right. These 2 are wrong. 10 are right. This one's wrong. And so it just didn't feel as connected, Donna, that I hoped I'd see in the run game. Had one that was an outside toss play early in the, a 2 minute at the end of the half, a tackle for a loss. Those were things that we know we can get, Robert or a player out on the edge. And so to have that happen, that was disappointing.
Hey, Coach, do you have a status update on Bill Krosky-Merritt?
I do. So Bill's in the same space he was in for this last game. So you'll see him working off to the side with the trainers today and into this week. And he'll be like with a number of crew of guys that we hope to get into practices next week. That'd be like, Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah.
Also, what was the thought process behind flip-flopping Sam and Ethan rather than giving one a half, the other half, or something like
Yep,
that?
and we did that in the first game, and here was the thought behind it. And we had a lot of discussions about it because I'd asked both Blau and Danny Etling. They've got a lot of experience in that space, as both of them were, backup quarterbacks and successful at it. And we came to the conclusion that oftentimes that's how the backup quarterback comes into a game, into a series. And so we thought, let's go with that assumption that going into the game as the backup, you didn't have setup time and different looks, and we wanted the same evaluation with the same receivers against the same defense as often as we could. So that was our rationale behind it. And we haven't gone all the way into the game. We're kind of like locked in on today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. But I thought it's not as easy for them, but quite honestly, we're not trying to make it easy. Like, how can it be stressful? And like, that's part of their role. Can they adapt and come in and work with new people in different spaces? And so that was the rationale behind it.
You said after the game you felt like you had some work to do to kind of figure out what you guys want to be at center. Do you feel like you have the talent you need there on the roster currently?
We do, and but we still have work to do there, Nikki, honestly. And so I want to see where Matt is, get him some more snaps. He played a little bit of guard this week, and we worked him some there in the game. I'm sure you saw that. And we'll work him back to exclusively, at center into this game and this practice this week. We're still working with Nick. He's not there yet, coming back from his injury. But between the 3 of them, we're still in the process of evaluating, what's the best way for us to go. So that'd be one of the spots that I'm still digging in on and still looking.
It's a 2-parter, mainly so I can squeeze in another question. But
Yeah, crafty veteran.
yeah.
Yeah.
And with this sort of being like the taper period toward the season, do you expect the joint practice to be as intense as maybe as it was against Miami? And then how does that affect Jayden? Is there a chance he would ever play in the 3rd preseason game?
I'll go back to the first one. I see next week as the tapering. And so this week still at a really heightened space for us. And the purpose being is we're trying everything we can to help us prepare some of the longer drives, the longer spaces in preparation for the season. And so you probably saw some of that in camp. It went from 6-play drives, 8 plays to 10 to 12. And so last week and this week is really kind of the crescendo of that. And then we'll begin tapering, have some practices next week, and then they have a block off. And so I still feel like we're up in the higher zone today, tomorrow, Wednesday, and then into the game, and then we'll do some practices next week, and that's the spot that will begin, but not yet. As far as Jaden goes, we haven't gone there with the game, but having the joint's a big deal for us, and so that's where we want to get a lot of reps for him and for many others. So it won't be all balanced in terms of, in Miami it was a little more balanced, quite about 50-50 in terms of plays. This one will be a little more shifted towards Jaden and some of the group with him.
Take 3 more.
Hey, Dan, with your linebacker depth, Jordan's been out a bit. I assume he's still out with his shoulder.
Yep.
But we've seen more Madrano and Cahill. How do you kind of see those guys fitting in with what you're trying to do, and how do they all kind of possibly fit onto the roster?
Sure. And, Jordan's doing well. He's certainly close. I was very excited. You always feel Jordan's speed and intensity on the field. Even like, the play that he got injured on Miami, kind of next play he came back in, stayed out, made a nice play again. So I always feel that urgency from him. He's clearly one of our special teams leaders now going into year 3. With Kane and Ale, it's nice to see, like, in a whole year's time, I can vividly remember Ale really making a move during this week last year, all the teams, all the plays, and to see their experience come through, that's a big deal for us. I'm not gonna say they're interchangeable, but on special teams they kind of play some of the same spots. Defensively, we lean more to Kane guarding tight ends, using some of that length of him, but I'm pleased with both of them and where they're at.
Obviously, a competitive camp is something you've talked about from the beginning. Obviously, we know some of the guys like Jaden and others who are competitive. Who are some other guys that you feel have sort of exemplified that type of approach throughout?
Yeah, that's a good question, Ben. There's been quite a few. I'll start maybe on the offensive side, if that's good. On the offensive line, I really felt Sam Cosme has really had himself quite a camp. He and Connerly, I know Josh worked hard to get bigger and stronger, and so that came from the offseason, but you still had to put all the work in that space. Chris Paul and Brandon Coleman, both of them have taken a lot of reps, albeit at guard early on before LT, suffered his injury. But those 4 at the line, Ben, I thought have really exemplified that. Chig's taken a lot of reps at tight end. I feel like he's comfortable with the group into that space. Receivers, I could list a number of them. Jalen Lane's probably one that comes to mind, because it could also be, Ben, I see the jump that's taken place with him. He's a better route runner. He's in crazy shape. He's making more plays maybe than he would have last year at the slot, where we said, okay, let's start him at returner and see where it can end up. Now a threat on both sides. On the defensive side, I feel like Luvu's one that's been active, Ben, in that spot. And then I love that work that both corners have put in, Amik and Mike Samerstill. I felt like they're just down for the battle. They're ready for it every day. They love to compete. So those are a few that popped into mind.
Last one.
Back to center for a second.
Yep.
What do you need to see from both Julian and from Matt going forward to make you feel comfortable there?
Yeah. Good news, I feel comfortable system-wise. And you know how important it is to direct everything up front. This is the call. This is where we're going. So with both of them, I feel good knowledge of the system, of where they're at. Julian's somebody that's been here to work and put in, so I felt his strength there. I want to see really good protection in the middle of the line, especially blitzes, stunts, and we'll get a good look at that. Our defense does it. Baltimore does it. So between Wednesday and Friday, those are 2 more nice chances, DA, to get some good looks. Good news for us, both of them are, heady, smart players, what to go, where to look for. And so now let's battle it out some more. With Nick being not set back, but injured, we'll work him back in when we can. But this week will be, kind of devoted to Matt and to Julian as we're working through those 2 spots. All right. Thank you, everybody. I'll take it. Oh, I'm selling on eBay. I just said my age right there, eBay.